Marcus thought he'd cracked the code. After months of research, he moved his savings into a high-yield account offering 4.5% APY. While his friends were sitting at 0.45% in traditional savings accounts, Marcus was earning 10 times more. He felt like he'd finally beaten the system. He hadn't. His bank was still profiting more from his deposit than he was earning from it. And everything his high-yield account was doing with his money, he could have done it himself and kept the entire return. That's the part that never makes the brochure. Now consider his sister Priya. She had $20,000 sitting in a traditional savings account at a major national bank. Over 12 months, her bank paid her $76 in interest. That same year, her bank used that $20,000 to generate over $1,200. Priya got $76. The bank kept everything else, and she logged in each month feeling responsible for saving at all. Marcus thought he'd solved the problem. Priya didn't know there was one. They were both losing, just at different levels. Let's run the real numbers on both and show you exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Priya did everything right by conventional standards. She built a 6-month emergency fund, kept it in a savings account at a well-known national bank, and checked her balance regularly. Watching small interest deposits appear each month felt responsible. It felt safe. Her account was paying 0.38% APY, right around the national average according to current FDIC data. On $20,000, that works out to $76 a year, roughly $6.33 a month, not enough to cover a single lunch. What Priya never considered was where her $20,000 actually went the moment she deposited it. It wasn't sitting in a vault. The bank immediately deployed it, not for her benefit, but for theirs. The lending machine. The foundation of every American bank's business model is simple. Borrow cheap, lend expensive. The gap between what they pay depositors and what they earn on loans is called the net interest margin. Right now, the average net interest margin across U.S. banks sits at approximately 3.39%, the highest level since 2019. Priya's bank paid her 0.38% while earning multiples of that by lending her money elsewhere. The numbers on individual products are even sharper. The average credit card APR in early 2026 sits around 21%. Auto loans average roughly 7.5%. Personal loans land near 12%. Mortgages hover around 6.8%. Every one of those products is funded in part by deposits like Priya's, and everyone earns the bank far more than they will ever pay her. The Treasury Trade. This is the one that really should make you stop. Banks routinely take a portion of customer deposits and purchase short-term U.S. Treasury bills, which are currently yielding around 3.6%. The bank earns 3.6% on Priya's money, pays her 0.38%, and pockets the 3.22% spread. The bank is acting as a middleman between Priya and the U.S. government, collecting more than 3% annually simply for being in the middle. Priya could buy those exact same treasury bills herself. She just didn't know that. The fee machine. American banks collected an estimated $12.1 billion in overdraft fees, NSF charges, ATM fees, and maintenance costs in a single year. JP Morgan Chase alone pulled in over $1 billion in overdraft revenue in 2024. Wells Fargo posted nearly identical numbers. Beyond fees, banks earn interchange revenue every time a debit card is swiped, collect float income by holding funds for a day or two before transactions clear, and monetize anonymized customer spending data by packaging it for marketing partners. Every single one of these revenue streams is built on top of deposits like Priya's. Her bank didn't safeguard her money. They rented it. They paid her $76 for the right to use her $20,000 however they wanted, and she called it saving. Marcus is significantly better off than Priya. His 4.5% high-yield account earns him roughly $900 a year on $20,000 compared to her $76. He did the research, made the move, and is earning 10 times the national average. So what's the problem? The advertised rate isn't guaranteed. Many high-yield savings accounts use tiered structures where the top rate only applies to the first $500 or $1,000 in the account. Others advertise promotional rates that quietly drop after 90 days. Marcus saw 4.5% in the headline. His effective rate on the full balance might be meaningfully lower. Tax treatment quietly erodes the return. Interest earned in any savings account, traditional or high yield, is taxed as ordinary income at both the federal and state level. If Marcus is in the 22% federal bracket and lives in a state with a 5% income tax, he surrenders more than a quarter of every interest dollar to taxes. His $900 becomes approximately $657 after the bill comes due. The bank is still the middleman. A high-yield savings account runs the exact same profit machine as a traditional bank. The only difference is it shares a slightly larger slice with the depositor. Marcus's bank is buying Treasury bills with his money, lending it out at 7 to 21%, and keeping the margin. The question Marcus never thought to ask was this: if my bank is buying Treasury bills and earning 6%, why don't I just buy the Treasury bills myself? Same $20,000. Same 12-month period. 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, Priya's traditional savings account at 0.38% APY. Gross interest earned, $76. After combined federal and state taxes, she keeps roughly $55. That is the full annual reward for responsible saving by the conventional rulebook. Scenario 2, Marcus's high-yield savings account at 4.5% APY. Gross interest earned, $900. After combined taxes at 27%, he keeps approximately $657, a dramatic improvement over Priya, but still operating entirely inside the bank's profit system. Scenario 3, a short-term Treasury bill ETF like SCOV. SCOV's trailing 12-month yield as of early 2026 sits around 95%, with a current 30-day SEC yield near 3.55%. On $20,000, that's approximately $790 in gross income at the trailing rate. Here is the critical difference. Interest from U.S. Treasury securities is exempt from state and local income taxes under federal law. Marcus pays federal and state tax on his $900. The SCOV investor pays only federal tax on $790. After taxes, the SCOV investor keeps roughly $616 without surrendering a single dollar to state or local tax. You might say Marcus still edges ahead in raw dollars at 4.5% versus 3.95%. And in this specific comparison, that's technically true. But what that surface reading misses matters enormously. Marcus's 4.5% can vanish overnight. His bank can lower it to 5% next month and send a polite email notifying him after the fact. SCOV's yield tracks actual Treasury auction rates set by the U.S. government. It is transparent, market-driven, and there is no promotional window or bait and switch. In a high-tax state like California or New York, the state tax exemption on SCOV can single-handedly close the gap. And Marcus's high-yield account still keeps a bank in the middle. SCOV eliminates the middleman entirely. You are lending directly to the U.S. government and keeping the full yield minus a 0.09% annual expense ratio. This is simpler than it sounds. Keep your checking account. You need it for everyday spending, bills, and anything moving in and out regularly. This is not about changing how you spend. It is about changing where your idle cash sits between uses. Identify your idle cash. your emergency fund, your savings buffer, money earmarked for a future down payment or large purchase. This is the money your bank is currently renting from you at a fraction of its actual value. Move it into one of these three options. Option 1, a Treasury bill ETF like SCOV, available through any brokerage account including Fidelity, Schwab, Robinhood, or Webull. You buy it exactly like a stock. The ETF holds Treasury bills maturing in 3 months or less and pays monthly dividends. Current yield runs between 3.55% and 3.95%. When you need your money, you sell during market hours. The price is designed to stay near $100. The expense ratio is just 0.09% annually, about $18 per year on $20,000. Distributions are exempt from state and local income tax. Option 2, treasurydirect.gov, the U.S. government's own platform. No brokerage, no ETF, no expense ratio of any kind. You open an account, link your bank, and purchase T-bills directly at auction. When they mature, you receive your principal plus interest. The trade-off is liquidity, since you are committing to a fixed maturity date ranging from 4 weeks to 52 weeks. If you do not need immediate access, this is the purest way to eliminate every layer of middleman. Option 3, a Treasury-focused money market fund, available through Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard. These funds invest in short-term government securities, offer daily liquidity, and currently yield competitively. Choose a Treasury-only fund and you retain the full state income tax exemption. On FDIC insurance, Treasury bills are issued by the same U.S. federal government that backs the FDIC. You are not trading safety for yield. You are removing the bank from between you and the government guarantee entirely. Priya saved responsibly. Marcus did his research. Neither one ever asked what their bank was actually doing with their money, or whether they could do it themselves. The answer is yes. And now you know how. If this breakdown shifted how you think about where your money sits. Subscribe to Wealth Logic and hit the notification bell. We break down the hidden math behind everyday financial decisions, and the next video is one you genuinely do not want to miss.